Oh, brother, take dost hear the decree, Lily Bolero, Bulanola, that we shall have a new deputy, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, lero, Lily Bolero, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, 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 Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Oh, by my soul, 'tis a Talbot, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. And he will cut all the English throat, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, lero, Lily Bolero, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, 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 Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Oh, by my soul, the English do praise, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Your laws on their side, and the devil knows what, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, lero, Lily Bolero, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, 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 Lily Bolero, Bulanola. But 50 pence to come from the Pope, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. We'll hang Magna Carta themselves on the rope, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, lero, Lily Bolero, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, 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 Lily Bolero, Bulanola. And the good Talbot is now made a lord, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. And with his brave lads he's coming aboard, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, lero, Lily Bolero, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, 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 Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Who all in France have taken the swear, Lily Bolero, Bulanola, that they will have no Protestant heir, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, lero, Lily Bolero, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, 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 Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Oh, but why does he stay behind, Lily Bolero, Bulanola? Oh, by my soul, 'tis a Protestant wind, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, lero, Lily Bolero, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, 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 Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Now that Tyrconnell is come ashore, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. And we shall have commissions galore, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, lero, Lily Bolero, Lily Bolero, Bulanola. Lero, 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 Lily Bolero, Bulanola. He that will not go to mass, Lily Bolero, Bulanola, shall be turned out and look like an ass, Lily Bolero, Bulanola.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so today is our first meeting of American Government and Politics. And, um, we are in the third year of the pandemic. And, I think I have been vaccinated, you've been vaccinated, I've been boosted. I think at some point during the semester, we'll go back to some kind of, we'll have face-to-face meetings. We will have face-to-face meetings starting next week, but according to the rules, I'm only supposed to meet with half of the students one week and then the other half of the students in class the other week, while of course everybody's attending at the same time on Zoom. So even if you're in the classroom, we'll be using Zoom. And then, by the way, I'm recording this session. So since I'm recording this session, the link to the class will be posted on the Cyber Campus site for this class. So you can go look at it again if you would like to, or if you're not able to attend for some reason, that you will be able to watch the video recording on Cyber Campus. So, it's been, I haven't been on Cyber Campus with the class since December. So I have to remind myself of the procedures. Like I told you, we are recording this. And so let me show you Cyber Campus. Some of you, this is your first time at Catholic University of Korea. And so you may or may not already be familiar with the Cyber Campus online course system that we are using, and that we're going to keep using. I mean, along with Zoom, with all of the technology that is developed, we're going to continue to use it. I mean, I can see myself, even after the pandemic is over, I'm going to be recording my classes on Zoom and making them available for students who, for whatever reason, were not able to come to class. So, this is all part of the development of ways of teaching. And but we do believe at the Catholic University of Korea that's really important that we have face-to-face meetings where we can, because that, I think, improves the quality of the learning and college and the learning experience and the college experience more generally, for you to actually interact with other people. So even when we are meeting in class starting next week, half of you will be in the class, half will be outside attending on Zoom. We're going to do in-class exercises. Some of you will be participating in the exercises while you're accessing the class through Zoom. Others will be in the classroom. So whenever you come to class, starting next week, and I'll let you know, I'll tell you, I'll send you emails. I'll be sending you lots of emails. Like I sent you 3 emails, or at least some of you 6 emails about today's class. Make sure that whenever you come to class, you bring your laptop computers, because we're always going to be using Cyber Campus. We're always going to be using Cyber Campus, if only, for example, to do attendance. So like, for example, here's the Cyber Campus site. And let me go back to the stop share. Let me go back to our class here. And so let me see. I got to remind myself to share screen. And let's see if I can find the Cyber Campus site. So I haven't opened up the Cyber Campus site yet, or if I did, it's not showing up. But let me go do that again. And so Cyber Campus, so there it is. And so now let me go back to the share screen. Let me close this and then go back here and go to share screen. And then there it is. Okay, so there you see, this is the Cyber Campus site that we have for our class. You can see Introduction to American Politics there. And I will post, well, I already put the syllabus there, but all of the Microsoft Word files, documents I show you, like notes and graphs and the lesson plan, I will post here under each week so that you can see you can always access the materials, including the copy of the syllabus, so you never have to worry about losing the syllabus, right? And so, like, for example, we're always going to use this site, even when we are meeting in class, because Cyber Campus is really nice. And one of the reasons why Cyber Campus is really nice is that it makes attendance easy. So I click here on attendance, and you see week 1. And so we do smart attendance. So you can all see this, I think, right? Go to smart attendance and start the smart attendance. And your number is 194. So that's the number you need to enter into the smart attendance box, so that to indicate that you are here. So let me send that number to you. So I've sent to you, to everyone, the number 194. So you need to enter 194 into smart attendance. So I don't know. I see some familiar names like Anais. Hi, Anais. Nice to see you again. Anais was my student in the fall, and it's I think she's one of the international students that I had last semester in the fall. So it's good to see a familiar face. It's always good to see familiar faces. And some of the others I will see as well if I go through and look through the names. But you need to put in 194 into smart attendance, and I think you have 10 minutes to do that. So some of you already know all of this because you, like Anais, you've been here, you were here in the fall taking classes. And so that's your smart attendance number. And so let me go screen share and see who has done the smart attendance so far. And just about everybody, 3 people, Salez, Amor, and Joe Unchin has not yet, and Amor. So Salez and Joe Unchin and Amor. Who is Amor? Doesn't really say. You need to enter in your smart attendance numbers. You can see the number counting down here. You have 10 minutes to do that. And then that's going to be our attendance for the class at the end of the semester. You know, I have to hand in the attendance list, and you know that you can't miss more than 12 hours of class attendance without an excuse, right? You know this at Catholic University of Korea, right? You cannot move. I think it's, you cannot miss more than 12 hours, or if you miss 12 or more hours, something like maybe less than 12 hours of unattended, you miss class and you don't have an excuse, a formal excuse. You know, the university really enforces that. I mean, they're very strict about it. You know, it's different, of course, than, for example, in the United States, but that's just the way it is. And I will give them this, I will use the smart attendance list to record attendance throughout the whole 3 months, 3.5, 4 months of the class. So that's why when you come to class next week, make sure you bring your computers, your laptops, because we're going to use smart attendance for the recording the attendance. Okay, that's one reason. Okay, and so this is all getting introduced to the class and introducing ourselves to each other, and again, it's good to see some familiar faces. And so what else to cover? Because we only have 50 minutes for this class, let me go to the open up a file. And okay. Oh, maybe I should tell you before we forget, because you know I began the class with that song. That song is Lily Bolero. Lily Bolero is the name of it's an old English song which is very popular, and but it's also controversial because it's associated with the Protestant victorious side in the Irish conflict historically between the Protestants and the Catholics, and the Stuarts dynasty for the Catholics fighting against the Orange dynasty for the Protestants, and trying to win and conquer the English British throne at the over 300 years ago. And and why am I highlighting that song? Because that's an introduction to the week's readings for this week. And the week's readings for this week are chapter 1 of a book, which I will send you the link to the book. I have a PDF copy of the textbook, which I am going to make available to you through Google Cloud Drive. I'm going to send you the link to you, since I have your email addresses, to the book that we're going to be using for the first half of the class, and then another book for the second part of the class. So let me share a screen here. But yeah, again, this Lily Bolero song is a song about the defeat of the Catholic Stuart dynasty in Britain, and it was decided a battle in Ireland, and if you, of course, Ireland, this is very much in the news these days because Northern Ireland still has this ongoing intense conflict between the Catholic nationalists who are pro unification of Northern Ireland with the Republic of Ireland, and the tended to be Protestant Irish living in Northern Ireland who are British nationals. They want to stay part of the United Kingdom. They want to stay under London, and that was led to intense violence from the 1970 until 1998. That killed 3,500 people in a place that has less than 1 million population living there. It's a lot of people. It's called the time of troubles, the troubles in Ireland. And this conflict between the Catholics and the Protestants has reemerged since Britain voted to leave and has left the European Union. And this, of course, in any explanation as to why the violence in Northern Ireland ended in 1998, or for the most part, one of the critical reasons, not the only reason, but one critical factor was the integration of Great Britain, United Kingdom, and Ireland all together within the European Union, so that borders did not mean so much between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. But I don't want to talk about that so much now because we're talking about American government and politics. But the point I'm trying to make is that America was founded by the kind of people that won that English Civil War on behalf of the Protestants against the king and the establishment order in United Kingdom. And this English Civil War was underway in the 17th century. And you can see that this song is from about that time. And the radical militant Protestant, I guess you would call them, I almost said revolutionaries, but radical Protestant militants led by Oliver Cromwell defeated the ruling monarchy in Britain under Oliver Cromwell. And those militant Protestants, they were the first English settlers to settle in what became the United States. The English colonies at the beginning of the 17th century were established by the kind of people that won that battle against the English monarchy under radical Protestant revolutionaries under Oliver Cromwell. Those people founded the American colonies in the British Empire. And that's a very important part of the political landscape in the United States today. So your first chapter reading for this week, going into next week, is called The Political Landscape. So let me open up the, oh, what's this? Somebody's got a chat, okay. No, not to me, yeah, so I just sent you the chat, all right. So somebody else has already communicated with that. So let me open up the lesson plan here and make sure I share your screen and make sure, because I have to make sure that it actually is sharing the screen even when I'm not completely certain here. So this is the first part of the book. The book we're using for the first part of the class, and I think you can see that, right? American Government Roots and Reform. And so this came out in 2017, 2018, and it covers it's the latest edition of this book available. So it covers the 2016 presidential election when Donald Trump won the election. To the surprise of most people, Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton to become president of the United States. And so the book it doesn't really talk about the Trump administration, the President Donald J. Trump's administration of the United States. That's covered later in the book, in the course when we use our second book. So I'm having copies made, a docu-copy of the section of the first half of this book that we are using in the class. and I sent those to DocuCopy on Friday. So the secretary should tell me soon, that the book, that the copies are available. And when they tell me the paper copies are available, I will send you an email so you can go to DocuCopy, which is that store across the street from the entrance on the left there, across the street from the 7-Eleven at the entrance to the university. That's DocuCopy. You can go get your paper copies of the copy there. But I also will post on Google Drive a link to the PDF file for that reading that you also download, which you can download so you have an electronic copy. Okay, and it's a big file, of course, so I'm not going to send you the whole file, but I'll send you the link to the file so you can download it. And then to update the reading, because I know you all want to know about, what happened under Donald Trump and what's going on since Joe Biden beat Donald Trump in the US election in 2020, in November 2020, and became president of the United States and has been in office now for, going on 13, 14 months. We're using another book for the second half of the course, which is by one of the same authors here, Larry Sabato, who's a well-known political science professor in the United States. He came out with a book covering the 2020 election. And that book is, let me see if I can find it here. I have it here somewhere. Let me just, I thought I put it here, just a second. What did I do? Do I have it? Just a second. Just a second. I thought I had the link here. It's not hard to find. Okay, well, I'll do it this way. I thought I had that file up here, but linked up here. But we go to back to the file here. We go back to the I closed that. Oh, that's kind of funny. So just a second here while I show you the second book we're using. And yeah, this is the book. So make sure, let me stop share. So make sure you can see it, share screen. And this is the book we use for the second half of the class, which is A Return to Normalcy, the 2020 election that almost broke America. And so that's, again, you can see that Larry Sabato is one of the editors and authors of this book. And so we're going to read the entire book. There's about, I think, 8 articles in this book, and that's also being copied to DocuCopy, okay? So when the DocuCopies are available, it'll be one collection of copies, the first half of the previous book, and then also this book also. And again, I'll send you the PDF link to download I'll send you the link to download the PDF file of this book, okay? So that's our reading. And as I mentioned, the first chapter in the Larry Sabato book, let me see if I can, let me see, yes, this one. Yeah, this is the book. Yeah, that we are using. The first chapter covers the political landscape, including the important founding of the United States, the importance of that founding by militant Protestant revolutionaries. So let me go to the notes, because I will also post the notes that I have taken from all of these readings. I have taken extensive notes, and let me open those up here just a second. So chapter 1, and so here you see, let me make sure you can see that. So we go share screen, and no, I don't want to do that. Share screen, and so here you see, this is from American Government Politics by O'Connor and Sabato. And so here are the notes from chapter 1 and chapter 2. Well, let me open the syllabus and so show you the syllabus for the class. And where is the syllabus? What did I do with the syllabus? Oh, there's the syllabus. Okay. There you see, and again, make sure that you can see the syllabus. So here's the syllabus. And so there's the coverage of the two books. And you can see for today, I've assigned this reading chapter 1, American Government, Roots, Context, and Culture. And we have a little debate topic there. America was founded by radical Protestant revolutionaries coming from Northern Europe, from Great Britain, but they also had some roots in the Netherlands. Coming to America as a place to practice their faith, as one of their strong motivations, practice their religion. But in this world of over 400 years ago, we're talking about a world that existed over 400 years ago. Religion was everywhere. Religion was used to explain everything. And so when I say that these radical Protestant militants came to North America to practice their religion and live their way of life according to their religion, that included their economic life, what we call the economic life, the business life, the public life of people. Now, again, we're talking about people coming to America at the beginning of the 17th century. And so practicing and living their spiritual religious life included making money, right? There wasn't a separation between the personal, the religious, and the public. To practice their religion, these people who founded America believed that they had a direct personal relationship with God, right? Here we are at the Catholic University of Korea. I'm Catholic. I was born Catholic. My father was Italian. My mother was Catholic. My father came to the United States and met my mother, but he was Catholic, and I grew up Catholic. But I also go to Somang Church in Apgujeong subway station in Seoul, in the Gangnam district, and that is a Protestant Christian church, evangelical church, and the Protestant revolution that began with Martin Luther in the 16th century can be understood in many different ways. But it can be understood, the Protestant Revolution, as a reflection in people's religious and spiritual world to the changing outside world around them. And when I say changing outside world around them, I mean the increasing pace of economic change in what we call Europe, beginning at the end of the Middle Ages, the medieval period in Europe. Beginning in the late Middle Ages, around the 13th century to 14th century, going into the 15th century, when Martin Luther emerged, Europe's economy and economic development was changing. It was changing more rapidly for a number of reasons, including the discovery by the Europeans, again, in the early modern times, of what we call North and South America. And but this economic change in Europe began before the rediscovery by Europeans, in their own view, of North and South America, with Christopher Columbus finding what is today the island of Hispaniola in the Caribbean in 1492. But the discovery of North and South America and the tremendous economic resources that began to be create or integrate into the European political and social and economic worlds in the 15th century further accelerated this process of change. And so the world, people around them living, let me get to the point, people living in Europe, in Britain, but also in Europe at this time, they were experiencing this increasingly rapid pace of change in Britain at the time. And they're trying to make sense of it. They're trying to understand it. And the Protestant Revolution, the Protestant Reformation that emerged with Martin Luther can be understood as a reaction to that increasing pace of change. So people, again, remember, at this time, religion is everywhere. People believe that everything that exists, the sun, clouds, the sky, the earth, the weather, but also social relations, that somebody is a king and somebody is a peasant and somebody is a duke or a baron or aristocrat or a knight. In Korean terms, the term is yangban, aristocrats. That these relationships, these were all created by God. God created the world, not just the physical world, but also the social world. And including people's position in terms of their degree of respect and status that they had in their lives. Status, between a priest or a pope or aristocrats like barons and counts and dukes and bishops and archbishops and cardinals, and on down the line, all the way down to peasants and serfs, that this hierarchy of status between the most respected and honored and powerful person, being the king or the pope or the bishop, all the way down to the bottom of that hierarchy, that this was all created by God, that God wants this. But with the acceleration of the pace of change, because of economic change, accelerating in Europe, and where did it accelerate first? In Britain. In Britain, right? People begin to question these assumptions about a person's ascribed status, the status they have that's given to them at birth. The status you have at birth is assumed to be unchanging. That if you're the king, your son will be the king. If you're a peasant, your son will be, and daughter will be peasants. If you're if you live in a town and you grind up the peasants' flour into bread to make wheat and flour to make bread, you're a miller, right? You are the miller. A miller grinds up wheat grains into flour in the mill, and that person's a miller, and he is Mr. Miller, and he will have children, and they will be the Miller family, or the Smith family. They pound the metal to make iron into horseshoes for shoes. That's the Smith, the blacksmith. So that's Mr. Smith, and that the Smith family, or the Fletcher family, or the Baker family, or the Taylor family. And God wants this, right? That's the assumption, that God ascribed your status is given to you by God at birth into the family you were born into. And somebody who challenges that notion that there's something wrong with them, they are unusual, that they're strange. And as the economy is changing more and more rapidly, people becoming more and more prosperous. And you are seeing some people whose, maybe they've always been the local Baker family. The baker, they bake bread to make bread to give to sell to peasants, the baker. And that baker finds a way to make more money by selling bread to, say, the king's army, the king's military unit that's positioned close by. And that baker is making lots of money. And that person's getting lots and lots of more status and respect because they have more and more money. And people can see that baker or that tailor or that Fletcher or that Smith, that person is getting more and more money, and therefore more and more respect, more and more status, more and more influence, more and more honor. And so they're trying to explain what is going on here. And the explanation that was given by the early Protestants was that God knows, right? God, Hananim, God knows everything. God is omnipotent, right? God knows everything. And so God knows already whether or not you and I, when we die, if we're going to heaven or if we're going to hell. But we can find out if God likes us by whether or not we are successful in this world that we live in now. And so when I say these Protestants went to America to live their religion, that included making money. That you could find out whether or not you are going to heaven if you are successful in this life today. So that's critically important for the political landscape. That it's, critically important, for example, explaining how somebody like Donald J. Trump was able to become president of the United States. A lot of people admire that man because he is a tremendously successful business person, or at least he portrays himself as being a successful businessman. And Americans, because of that founding, going all the way back over 400 years ago to the founding of the United States, they believe that the most honorable and respectful people are the people that are successful in life, that are successful in their business, that are successful in making money. Now, I'm overstating a little bit, but not too much. The people that founded America, they were people that rejected the traditional aristocratic Yangban hierarchical order of kings and dukes and counts and barons and they rejected all of that. They rejected the state. They rejected the notion that you have to have somebody rule over you who has the right to rule over me because God made that person the king. And that person would claim also, if they were the king, that their job, one of their responsibilities was to make sure that you worship God in the right way, that you worship God in the way they think that you should worship God, and that they rule by the order of God to make sure that their subjects living in the country also are worshiping God in the right way, in the way the king decides. So these people that founded America rejected all of that. They rejected that. And so they became very suspicious and hostile towards this notion of a strong central government. No. They emphasize their own personal relationship with God, right? I mean, that's the whole notion in Protestant religion, right? That you don't need a priest. You do not need a priest. You do not need a bishop. You do not need a pope to tell you how you should worship. That you can have your own personal relationship with God. You can find your own personal way towards salvation after you die. And that's a radical, revolutionary notion. In Latin, the term is sola fides. You yourself establish your personal relationship to God and your own personal route to salvation. And America was founded by those people that emphasized local self-government, because you still have to cooperate with people in order to succeed. You got to engage in business. You have to protect yourselves from criminals. You have to protect yourselves from hostile enemies outside. So America was founded by these radical Puritans. They were called Puritans. Puritans because they were purifying the Christian religion away from what they believed was all of the legacy and inheritance of Roman Catholic religion. They wanted to purify the religion as Puritans, the Puritans, also called pilgrims, but Puritans. And that sounds like a history lesson, but one of the most fascinating experiences over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years is to see how these founding experiences, including the founding of the United States by these radical Protestant revolutionaries, has impacts to this present day today in 2022 in terms of prevailing images and stereotypes that Americans have deep in their political DNA, deep in their culture, that they just assume is there naturally, and basically that is normal and right in terms of what is right and wrong. So Americans, they have this strong orientation to be very cynical and hostile to the notion of a strong central government. But you need, for example, in the COVID-19 pandemic, you must have a strong government that can implement public health requirements to control the coronavirus. And one of the most weakest states, least effective in controlling the coronavirus, has been the United States. When you compare the United States with Europe or with South Korea or Japan, America has been the weakest in terms of, or least effective in controlling the virus, because so many Americans have this greater hostility and suspicion of accepting that the government must provide leadership, that the central national government must provide leadership for the society. They might accept it during wartime, when there's a big bad communist enemy, like during the Cold War with the Soviet Union, or during World War II with the Japanese and Germans. But when it's a virus, which you can't see, which, you know, it doesn't really hurt most people. You know, Americans are much more difficult to persuade that they must obey emergency rules and regulations decided by the central government, compared to, say, Europeans, or even, you know, British, or not to mention Koreans and Japanese and Chinese. And it shows in the fact that about 1 million Americans have died from the coronavirus, which is the highest number of any per person per country anywhere in the world, even though it's the richest and most technologically advanced country in the world. And that's fascinating. And that is something we have learned over the last 4 years to show that this political landscape, that's really important. And so let me show you the notes again about that the political landscape notes. Let me go back to here too and make sure you can see those notes. I mean, that's been fascinating. This once in 100-year pandemic, a public world health crisis, has been an opportunity for us to learn so much about politics, about what we call political culture, and to really highlight that this historical lessons, these are really important. So here are the notes, and of course I'll put the notes on the cyber campus. And you can see that I have my own commentary in the notes. When you see these 5 brackets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and then my initials, BD, that's me. Those are my commentary on the notes. The other notes are from the book. Sometimes I rephrase them in my own words, but roots of the, you know, Sabato and O'Connor, those are the co-authors of the book. They talk about the European colonization of and conquest and colonization of America. But immediately from the arrival of the time of the English, and when they began forming their colonies at the end of the 16th, beginning of the 17th century, they bring slaves. I think all Europeans, they bring slaves from Africa. And they bring slaves from Africa because they need people to work as labor in these new farms and plantations that the British, the Spanish, and the French were creating to make money. And that meant they needed cheap labor. And the only way they could get labor on a mass scale at first to come over to these colonies was to buy them as slaves from Africa. So also, you know, we don't talk about this here, but the first states in the early modern period are created. Modern states are created in Africa on the western coast, basically as part of the slave trade, for supplying the Europeans with slaves, because there still was forms of slavery in Africa, and the Europeans exploited that to go to Africa and buy slaves and bring them to America. And that was justified and explained to the English as, well, you know, these slaves are not Christian, these slaves are pagans, they're heathens, they're you know, and of course they're stereotyped as being backward and primitive, and it was easier for Americans and other Europeans to justify exploiting that resource so that they could make as much money as possible in what was called the New World, the new colonies. And they didn't rely only on Africans. They also tried to enslave the local indigenous population. And they would also try to bring over workers from Europe, but workers from Europe were more difficult to control. And you couldn't enslave them forever the way you could conceivably enslave Africans forever. All right. So slavery was established in America at the very time when the colonies, the first English colonies, were established in America, and it became a very important part of the economy, or what we call the economy today. And keep this in mind: this is a theme throughout the book, that throughout the class, I should say, that human beings, including you and I, maybe not necessarily you, maybe not necessarily me, but it's human nature for us to see and perceive and understand the world around us in a way that makes me, or allows me, to feel good about doing whatever it is I want to do. So if I want to make lots of money, and I believe that God favors those people that work hard and are successful in life, and I need slaves to do that, I am going to make myself view African people in a way that allows me to feel good about enslaving them, because I want to feel good about myself. So I want to see the world around me in a way that allows me to justify to myself doing what I want to do. So I will tell myself that Africans are inferior, that Africans are backward, that Africans are benefiting from slavery, that we are civilizing Africans by bringing Africa, non-Christians, from Africa to America to become Christians, to make them live Christian lifestyles, to teach them the Bible. And I will see them in a way that allows me to justify making them into slaves, that they are inferior, that they're savage, that they're backward, and they should feel grateful to me as a European for enlightening them, for civilizing them, for bringing them into my society, not as an equal to me, of course, because look how backward they are, supposedly. Look how primitive they are, supposedly. And that self-justification worldview will become internalized in the institutions of the early colonies, as the early English colonies are established in the early 17th century in North and South America. In the case of the English, North America and the Caribbean. Okay, and this highlights a critical issue to the present day in 2022, that the conflict between white European background people and people that have any kind of African ancestry in their blood is as evidenced by their skin color and their features, what you call in anthropology, the phenotype, the way their genes manifest themselves in forms, like in skin color and shape and type of hair and facial features, that the conflict between whites and blacks, white Americans and African Americans, remains the single most intense source of political conflict in American politics to the present day, and as a driver and engine of the development of the American political institutions about which this course is focused. And Donald Trump exploits that, and it's still being exploited today. And this goes all the way back over 400 years ago, when the English colonies are established. They bring over slaves, and they create a world that it relies upon slavery to help make as much money as possible for these European colonizers, settlers, taking away the land from the moving and removing the indigenous Indian population and bringing over enslaved Africans. They're going to come up with an entire political and economic and social system based upon that reality, and explain it to themselves in terms of a self-justification way to explain that reality. And that is why we don't really have time to do a debate in this class, but it's a theme to think about a debate this week in this class, but it's a theme to think about when we look, for example, at the syllabus, right? The syllabus if I can find it again here, where's the syllabus? Is that this, you know, I'd have to, you know, the first, let me see if I can find the lesson plan here. So the, yeah, the first topic is, let me go back to the syllabus. Syllabus, and stop share, make sure you can see that screen share. And so we go to the syllabus, and here we go. You know, to South Koreans, the founding of America put racism in America's political DNA. That's what I'm trying to explain, why that argument, why that statement is a plausible topic of debate. Because, you know, slavery was critically important for creating and developing the early English colonies in North America, and creating an entire system of culture, economics, and therefore politics, and the state, the government, with slavery and enslaving other people who look different because they had black skin, different kind of hair, but they're clearly people. They could speak a language, they could learn your language, they could learn English. Clearly they have the ability to think. And how are you going to justify exploiting them? How are you going to justify enslaving them? What are we going to do to maintain that system? How do we enforce it? What kind of police system do we have? What kind of government system do we have? That's going to be critically important in creating American political culture. And that is a topic of politics to this very day in 2022. The hostility, particularly of many white Americans, to teaching what's called so-called critical race theory, that holds that the founding and establishment and development of the American state over 400 years ago with the colonies was critically influenced by racism and slavery and racism. Racism being the institutionalization of a worldview in which I am justifying and controlling and justifying my enslavement of people that have different skin color and hair type, and facial features. So, and so that's the, we only have 2 minutes left in this class. So I will put the notes on the cyber campus that I showed you, and then I also and also the syllabus, and then I will also like you to do something for fun. This is not graded. After you go through the notes and after you do the reading, I would like you to take a fun test. It's not for a grade, a test on cyber campus. So when you go to exam here, you're going to see that this topic comes up as a topic that you can take this test. It's 67 questions. You're not going to be graded on it. It's just, it was something that comes with the first chapter of this book when I used this book before. And I would like to see you go through and see, try to answer the questions. It doesn't matter if you get it right or wrong, you'll get the correct answer. And when you get the correct answer, you'll see how these fundamental notions on the founding of the United States are critically important as basic information. So you can see, I think it came available at 9 o'clock in the morning here today. So please go through and take this test. It's not graded. I'm not taking a grade on it. It's just available, and it shows you some of the basic information that it's covered in chapter 1 on the political landscape. And we will pick up on this topic when we continue next week, when we have our, I think it's our next class on Monday, our 2-hour class on Monday. Okay, so I will post the notes. I will send you the link. I will let you know by email when the paper copies of the book are available at DocuCopy. And so I will be communicating with you today and throughout the rest of the week to help us get set up for the rest of the semester. So is there any question or comment at this time? And if not, I'm going to end the class. And as I said, I will post the link. I will upload the video recording of the class to YouTube, and I will post the link, the YouTube link to the class on Cyber Campus. Okay. Okay. Bye.